Hello Groveland Township. Today's video is being done on March the 18th, 2020. And we're going to cover three brief items for you today. We're going to give you a little bit of information on the coronavirus and how we'll be handling it here in the township. And the good news is there are no known reported cases as of today in Groveland Township or in any of the staff that we're utilizing. Then I'm going to give you a very brief update on the RTA, Rapid Transit Authority bill, and its defeat. And finally, we're going to give you a little closing item on the census and why it's important. But first, let's talk a little bit about coronavirus and how things happen. Today with me is our Fire Chief, Kevin Mason, who's going to talk to you a little bit about how they're going to handle it, the protocol involved, and how situations will be dealt with. So, Chief, could you kind of give them a rundown on what's going to happen?
Happily. If you call 911 for any medical right now, if it's a normal medical, we will respond the way we always do with one crew or two crews, depending on severity of the call. And we won't be taking any additional precautions other than the normal gloves and eye protection if required. If it's a potential coronavirus call, the dispatch will be taking information from you. They'll advise us that it's a potential coronavirus call. When we respond to your house, only one person will enter. They'll provide you with a surgical mask, and we'll be wearing a mask. We'll take vitals and do a survey. And if it's determined that it could potentially be a coronavirus infection, we'll let the health department know and the hospital know. And from there, they'll advise us what they want us to do. If you're having difficulty breathing or you have a significant fever or you're coughing a lot, we'll transport you to the hospital. We have an ambulance that we have set aside to place plastic in on the walls, and that will transport all the coronavirus patients in that vehicle. It will be decontaminated after every call. We'll transport you to the hospital, and from what we're being told is that we'll sit in the parking lot until they have everything set up and ready to administer and admit the patient. If it's not a significant difficulty breathing, coughing, or fever, we will not transport you to the hospital, but we will advise the health department that you're a potential coronavirus victim or patient, and they will be in touch with you as to what they want you to do. In most cases, they just want you to stay home and let the coronavirus run its normal course.
Okay, this is really kind of emphasizing the fact that the big concern everybody has when you watch national television, and that is we don't want to overstress the whole medical system with a bunch of calls that really aren't coronavirus, and they won't be able to take care of all of those. So that's why there are these additional steps to make sure they're getting the right people in that really need the help. So again, if you have any questions, there are a couple of numbers now that have been set up at Oakland County for your assistance. If you think you have coronavirus and you want to talk to somebody about it, they have an 800 number. It's 800-848-5533. That's 800-848-5533. And they can talk you through some of the issues you need to be aware of if you think you have coronavirus and give you some indication of where you might want to go or what you can do next. Now, if it's a non-medical related problem, they have another 800 number at Oakland County. That number is 248, excuse me, not an 800 number, 248-858-1000. And that's where you might call if you had questions about things like Meals on Wheels or other issues that are not really medically related to the coronavirus situation. So those two numbers are kind of key to keep in place, and that will help you determine whether or not you're taking the right course of action. And then, of course, when the fire department would show up with its paramedic services, they will take the appropriate action that Chief Mason just outlined for you. Our one question is, if you're not sure what you have, please don't just call 911 for anything. Call the fire department if you have some other questions you want to ask first. If it's a serious health issue, of course, call 911. But otherwise, you can call the fire department and talk directly to one of the staff there. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit. Pretty much everything else you've seen is either on our webpage right now about the basic steps to take care of being safe in this environment. And we're going to add a hot link that will go directly from our website to the Oakland County Health Department, where they'll probably have more information than almost any of us might ever need. But as you can see, everybody's kind of sending out the same basic information. Wash your hands, Cover your mouth if you cough or sneeze. Try to keep personal distance between people. And the good thing is, as of the date of this video, there are no known coronavirus cases in Groveland Township, nor are any of the staff. Just for your own information, we've closed the township office to the general public. There's still staff inside, and if you call or email us, we will try and take care of issuing whatever permits or paperwork you might need, and under some limited conditions we'll try and set up appointments for you if you need them. But generally speaking, the office doors are locked during the day while the staff is trying to fulfill requests for other services. That's basically it for the coronavirus. What I'd like to do now is move to basically update you on two other issues. All right, the next item I'd like to make everybody aware of is the Rapid Transit Authority bill, which we fully expected to be on the November election, is now off the ballot. And that's good because it's due to the hard efforts of our own state senator, Ruth Johnson, and tons of elected officials in Oakland County and the north and west end of the county that all made it very clear that that Rapid Transit Authority bill had nothing in it for our communities and was a huge tax burden that they were looking at putting in. So thankfully, with everybody's efforts together, all the resolutions we adopted, the testimony that was done, and the calls that many of you may have also made to our elected officials, they got the message and they canceled it. That doesn't mean they might not try and put it on again at some time in the future, but as of today, that's not going to be on the November election, and that's good for Groveland Township. The last item I want to talk to you about is just remind everybody that the census is this year. This is our one chance in 10 years to get our census numbers back up to reflect the people that live here. And it has a very distinct benefit. The last census cost us about $400,000 in township income over the 10 years because we lost 11% of our population. I don't know how much of that we're going to pick up, but we are hoping that we pick up a fairly good amount of it. The forecast from SEMCOG is much lower, but I think we have a chance at picking up a pretty good amount of the original population we had. That is important to us because it develops information that is utilized for things like how many U.S. representatives the state of Michigan has, how many representatives are within the state legislature for us, and more importantly, it drives revenue that comes back to the township from state revenues that are collected under revenue sharing. It has a distinct benefit to the township to get those dollars back to us. If we're not counted, if you're not counted in the census, the money that would normally come to the community you live in ends up going to somebody else. It's that simple. And some of the benefits we get out of it are things like community development block grant money is in large part determined by how many people you have and their income levels and whether or not you qualify for things like improvement loans for their residents to maybe replace heating systems and that. Those kinds of things all come back out of information generated by the census. So here's a brief video that lets you see, I think, the high points of the census. March is the month when they start collecting it. It's a head count basically of who's in your house on April the 1st. Please take the time to do it. There's only 9 questions on the census. You can respond either via paper, via phone call, or do it online. And if you need any help or you want to do it online and you don't happen to have a computer, please feel free to come into the office. We'll be happy to help you do that. You also go to the library to have input on it, I think. So without any further ado, that's the end of today's message. Here's the census message. Until the next one, Groveland, be safe. Please help to keep the coronavirus down as much as possible and make sure only the most serious people actually use the hospitals. Thank you. Have a great day.
What is the 2020 census? Every 10 years, the census records everyone living in this country. It's written in the Constitution and comes in a questionnaire that counts everyone who lives at your address on April 1st. The data can be used to inform funding for services like fire stations, schools, clinics, and representation that affect your community.
How will 2020 census data be used? Where there are more people, there are more needs for public services. That's why the census is used by the government to inform funding decisions each year. But that's not all. It's also used by nonprofits to inform services, by businesses to create jobs, and even by students for school projects. Understanding how the population changes helps us shape communities across the country for the better.
How does the 2020 census affect representation? There are 435 seats in the House of Representatives. These get distributed to the 50 states by population, and an accurate census response helps your state get the right amount of seats. States with smaller populations get at least one, while states with larger populations might get more.
How do I take the 2020 census? In March 2020, every address in the country will receive an invitation to complete a simple questionnaire. And there are 3 ways to respond. Number 1, do it online. Number 2, call by phone. Number 3, send it by mail. For those who don't respond, a census taker from your community will follow up and assist you.
Is my 2020 census data safe? After sending your census response, your personal information is kept safe. By law, it can't be shared with any other government agency, law enforcement, or landlord. No one. So take your 2020 census with peace of mind. Shape your future. Start here. Visit 2020census.gov.